So we do respect the brands. We respect the fan bases of the brands, but there is no taboo. If they are not able to monetize the value that they represent, then decisions will come.
Just moments ago, news broke that's sending shockwaves through the automotive world. Ram, the iconic American truck brand, is officially closing its doors. That's right, the beloved brand known for its rugged, reliable trucks is going out of business. And it's not just a rumor. Stellantis, Ram's parent company, has confirmed the closure, sparking an uproar among loyal customers, automotive enthusiasts, and industry insiders alike. How could a brand as prominent and successful as Ram fall so suddenly? It's a question that has everyone guessing. Ram trucks have long been a staple on American roads, celebrated for their toughness and dependability. But the sudden news of Ram's closure raises a critical question. What went wrong at Stellantis? And why would a company choose to end one of its most successful brands? The shock is palpable. Fans of Ram trucks are devastated, the industry is in disbelief, and social media is buzzing with questions and theories. But behind the scenes, there's more to this story than just a brand shutting down. In reality, this decision is part of a much larger crisis unfolding at Stellantis, one of the world's largest automotive companies. Before we dive into the full picture, let's take a moment to look back at what made Ram so important and why its closure is such a shock. A brief look at Ram's rise to icon status. Ram isn't just any truck brand. It's an icon of American ingenuity, a symbol of power, and a favorite among truck enthusiasts. From its origins as a Dodge sub-brand to becoming a standalone division in 2009, Ram has steadily climbed to the top of the truck market, competing fiercely with Ford's F-Series and Chevrolet's Silverado. Known for its bold designs, strong performance, and rugged appeal, Ram quickly won the loyalty of drivers who needed a workhorse on the job and a reliable vehicle for the road. Ram trucks weren't just vehicles, they were statements. Models like the Ram 1500 redefined what a truck could be, blending comfort and technology with classic toughness. With advanced features like the eco-diesel engine and best-in-class towing capabilities, Ram distinguished itself as a brand that pushed the boundaries of truck performance. For over a decade, it became a flagship brand for Stellantis in North America, helping the company reach new heights. But today, that legacy seems to be crumbling. The brand that became synonymous with durability and power is being shut down, leaving fans in disbelief. It's hard to imagine American roads without Ram trucks rolling alongside. So why would Stellantis choose to close one of its most successful brands? To understand, we have to look at the bigger picture, the growing financial crisis at Stellantis that may have driven the company to make this drastic decision. Signs of trouble at Stellantis. The story behind Ram's closure is tied to something much bigger, the mounting crisis at Stellantis. In recent years, Stellantis has been facing numerous challenges, but it's only now with Ram's closure that the severity of the situation is coming to light. For a while, there were signs that all was not well at Stellantis, but many in the industry were caught off guard by the sudden decision to close Ram. So what exactly has been going on at Stellantis? First and foremost, the company has been grappling with financial struggles. With rising levels of debt, declining sales, and increasing production costs, Stellantis has been in a difficult position. Its market share has been shrinking, and the company has been slow to adapt to changing consumer demands, especially as the shift toward electric vehicles gains momentum. Then there's the issue of management restructuring. Stellantis underwent a massive merger in 2021, bringing together Fiat Chrysler Automobiles and PSA Group. While the merger was supposed to create a powerful new player in the auto industry, it's been anything but smooth. Cultural clashes, misaligned goals, and difficulties in merging operations have led to inefficiencies, delays, and significant management turnover. These internal struggles have only added to the company's woes, making it harder for Stellantis to stay competitive in a rapidly evolving industry. As we dig deeper, it becomes clear that Stellantis' decision to close Ram wasn't made lightly. Instead, it appears to be part of a desperate attempt to stabilize the company amid mounting financial pressures. But if closing Ram is meant to be a solution, it's one that has come at a high cost, not only for Stellantis, but for the entire automotive landscape. Ram's importance in Stellantis' strategy. One of the reasons Ram's closure is so shocking is the vital role it played in Stellantis' strategy, particularly in North America. For Stellantis, Ram was more than just a brand. It was a major revenue generator. In fact, Ram trucks have consistently been among the top-selling vehicles in the United States, often outperforming competitors and contributing significantly to Stellantis' bottom line. So why would Stellantis choose to close such a crucial part of its lineup? The answer likely lies in the high costs of maintaining a competitive edge in the truck market. With fierce competition from Ford, Chevrolet, and even newer players in the electric truck segment, Stellantis has been forced to make substantial investments to keep Ram relevant. These costs, combined with Stellantis' existing financial challenges, may have reached a breaking point, making it financially unsustainable for Stellantis to keep Ram in its portfolio. Ram's closure leaves a massive gap in Stellantis' North American strategy, one that will be hard to fill. Not only does it mean the loss of a significant revenue stream, but it also impacts Stellantis' ability to compete in the highly profitable truck segment. Without Ram, Stellantis risks losing a key demographic of loyal truck buyers who may now turn to Ford, Chevrolet, or other brands to meet their needs. For Stellantis, closing Ram is a risky move, one that could have far-reaching consequences for its position in the North American market. As we move into the next part, we'll dig even deeper into the crisis at Stellantis, exploring how global competition, financial pressures, and the challenges of the EV transition may have all contributed to the fall of Ram. Could Stellantis' decision to close Ram be just the beginning of even more drastic changes? The rise of global competition. To understand how Ram could fall so quickly, we need to look at the wider context of the global auto industry, where competition has reached unprecedented levels. As new players enter the market, established brands like Stellantis are finding themselves under immense pressure to keep up. The truck segment, once dominated by a few iconic American brands, is now facing challenges from automakers around the world. Companies from Japan, South Korea, and even China have been making strides, particularly in electric and hybrid truck offerings, which appeal to a growing demographic of eco-conscious consumers. Take Rivian and Tesla, for example. These relatively new entrants are attracting attention with fully electric trucks that cater to a market shifting towards sustainable options. Meanwhile, legacy players like Ford and GM are not resting either. With the introduction of electric versions of the Ford F-150 and Chevrolet Silverado, the competition has become fierce. For Stellantis, this isn't just about Ram going up against Ford. It's about competing in a rapidly evolving landscape where electric innovation, tech features, and eco-friendly models are setting new standards. Stellantis has had to face the reality that staying relevant in this crowded field requires huge investments in technology and infrastructure, particularly in the EV sector. Ram's traditional trucks, while powerful and popular, were beginning to look outdated compared to these newer, high-tech offerings. And in an industry where consumer loyalty can shift quickly, Stellantis was struggling to adapt fast enough to the changing expectations. As global competition intensified, Stellantis found itself with a dwindling edge, one that may have ultimately contributed to Ram's downfall. Financial struggles and debt. The financial strain on Stellantis is another piece of the puzzle that helps explain why Ram had to be sacrificed. Although Stellantis is a massive company formed from the merger of Fiat Chrysler Automobiles and PSA Group, its financial standing has been far from stable. The merger was intended to create a financially resilient giant that could compete with other top players in the industry. However, the merger has yet to produce the financial stability it promised, and Stellantis is now weighed down by a heavy debt load. Stellantis' financial woes have only been made worse by rising material costs and supply chain disruptions, which have affected production schedules and increased the cost of building vehicles. Each truck built is now more expensive, and Stellantis has been struggling to pass these costs onto consumers without losing sales. With thinner margins and rising operational costs, Stellantis has been forced to make tough choices, including cutting expenses wherever possible. Ram, unfortunately, became one of those cost-cutting measures. To keep Stellantis afloat, executives saw closing Ram as a necessary move to reduce financial pressure and redirect resources to other areas. The goal, presumably, is to stabilize the company and prioritize brands that Stellantis believes have a stronger future. Yet, with a reputation for toughness and loyalty, Ram's closure shows just how serious Stellantis' financial struggles have become. The EV Transition Challenge. One of Stellantis' biggest challenges, and perhaps one of its largest strategic oversights, has been its struggle to transition into the electric vehicle market, particularly in North America. While other automakers have been diving headfirst into electric trucks and SUVs, Stellantis has been slower to embrace the shift. For brands like Ram, known for power and reliability, Stellantis faced a tough balancing act: how to maintain Ram's rugged image while also appealing to the environmentally conscious buyer looking for EV options. Ram's lack of EV or hybrid models left Stellantis lagging behind in the race to capture the electric truck market. Ford's all-electric F-150 Lightning and Tesla's Cybertruck have drawn massive interest, setting the bar for what a modern truck can offer in terms of sustainability and technology. Meanwhile, Stellantis' efforts to develop electric trucks for Ram were seen as slow and hesitant, and the brand's lineup still largely focused on gasoline and diesel engines. Stellantis found itself at a crossroads: invest heavily to catch up in the EV race, or risk Ram's relevance in a market increasingly dominated by electric options. Unfortunately, the cost of retooling factories, securing battery supplies, and developing EV infrastructure proved too high. Instead of pushing Ram into the electric era, Stellantis ultimately chose to cut its losses. For Stellantis, the EV transition was a missed opportunity, one that competitors like Ford, GM, and Tesla seized with open arms. Strategic missteps and failed partnerships. Another factor contributing to Stellantis' decision to close Ram has been a series of strategic missteps and failed partnerships. The merger between Fiat Chrysler Automobiles, FCA, and PSA Group created Stellantis with the hope that combining resources would strengthen both companies. However, the merger has faced considerable challenges, from cultural clashes to logistical issues that have affected productivity and morale across the board. For Ram, these struggles meant a lack of clear direction. As Stellantis tried to manage its sprawling portfolio, it had to decide which brands to prioritize and which to scale back. Unfortunately, Ram didn't make the cut. Stellantis' leadership has been criticized for failing to establish a cohesive plan for Ram's future, leaving the brand without the support it needed to navigate a rapidly changing industry. Moreover, Stellantis made several unsuccessful attempts at partnerships and ventures aimed at bolstering its market position. Deals that were supposed to bring in additional resources or help Ram expand into new markets fell through, draining resources without delivering promised results. These strategic missteps left Stellantis stretched thin, financially and operationally, putting the company in a position where sacrifices had to be made. Ram's closure is a stark reminder of the consequences of these failed strategies. While Stellantis hoped the merger would create new opportunities, it appears the opposite has happened, forcing the company to cut back on key brands to survive. With Ram now off the table, Stellantis is left with fewer resources, fewer products, and, crucially, fewer loyal customers who might have otherwise stuck with the company. As we move into the next part, we'll explore the ripple effects of Ram's closure on the industry, workers, and customers. What does this closure mean for Stellantis competitors, and how will it impact the workers who depended on Ram for their livelihoods? The fallout from this decision is just beginning. Shockwaves through the truck market. The closure of Ram is sending shockwaves through the truck industry, reshaping a market that Ram once dominated. Ram trucks were a top choice for Americans needing powerful, dependable vehicles, often competing neck and neck with industry giants like Ford's F-Series and Chevrolet's Silverado. With Ram out of the picture, the truck market is undergoing a seismic shift, and competitors are already moving to fill the gap. Ford, GM, and newcomers like Tesla and Rivian now have a golden opportunity to capture Ram's loyal customer base. Ford, with its all-electric F-150 Lightning, is particularly well-positioned to appeal to buyers interested in eco-friendly options, while GM's Chevrolet Silverado and GMC Sierra offer updated technology and rugged reliability. For Ram's competitors, this is more than just a chance to boost sales. It's an opportunity to strengthen brand loyalty by capturing consumers who might otherwise have remained with Ram. Beyond trucks, the market for commercial vehicles could also shift. Ram had made significant inroads in sectors like construction and agriculture, where its heavy-duty trucks were valued for their towing capacity and durability. Companies that depended on Ram trucks for their fleets may now look to Ford, GM, or even international brands like Toyota for replacements. The truck market, once dominated by the big three, is evolving, and Ram's absence will likely accelerate these changes, possibly even paving the way way for new entrants to challenge traditional industry leaders. Impact on workers and the community. The decision to shut down Ram doesn't just impact the industry, it's a devastating blow to thousands of workers and the communities that depended on Ram's presence. Stellantis employs thousands of people at plants dedicated to Ram production, and these workers now face an uncertain future. For many, the news came as a shock, sparking anger and disappointment as employees grapple with the loss of stable, well-paying jobs. Communities surrounding Ram manufacturing plants are also feeling the effects. In cities like Warren, Michigan, where Ram's production facilities have been a staple for years, the closure is expected to have a significant economic impact. Local businesses, from suppliers and contractors to restaurants and shops, relied on the steady stream of income from Stellantis and its employees. Without that, these communities face an uphill battle as they struggle with the fallout from Ram's departure. This situation highlights a stark reality of the auto industry. When a brand shuts down, it's not just about lost vehicles, it's about the people and communities left behind. Some local leaders are calling for government intervention, hoping that financial aid or retraining programs could help displaced workers transition into new roles. But the road ahead remains difficult as these workers face limited options in a struggling job market where specialized manufacturing skills may not be easily transferable. Ram's closure isn't just a corporate decision, it's a community tragedy that underscores the broader economic and social consequences of industry shifts. For Stellantis, the financial savings from closing Ram come at a steep human cost, one that is being felt by employees and communities alike. Consumer trust and brand loyalty issues. The impact of Ram's closure extends beyond just trucks and jobs. It's also a matter of consumer trust. For years, Ram has cultivated a loyal following, with customers who trusted the brand for its rugged durability and high-performance vehicles. Ram's reputation was built on reliability, and that trust has now been shaken by Stellantis' decision to pull the plug on the brand. Customers are left wondering, if Ram can be taken away so suddenly, what does that mean for other Stellantis brands? The closure has sparked a backlash among consumers, with many questioning whether Stellantis is committed to supporting the brands in its portfolio. Social media is filled with reactions from disappointed Ram owners who feel betrayed by the decision, and some are even considering switching to competitors like Ford or Chevrolet, which they perceive as more stable brands. The brand loyalty that Ram built over decades is evaporating, and Stellantis faces an uphill battle to regain customer trust. The impact on consumer trust goes beyond Ram. Stellantis' other brands, Jeep, Chrysler, Dodge, may also feel the effects of this decision. Loyalists to these brands are watching closely, worried that their favorite models could be next on the chopping block. For Stellantis, maintaining customer loyalty after Ram's closure will require a significant effort, one that involves clear communication and visible commitment to supporting its remaining brands. Without this reassurance, Stellantis risks alienating even more of its customer base in an already challenging market. Economic consequences and market reactions. The closure of Ram has rippled through the broader economy, affecting not only Stellantis but also its suppliers, investors, and even the stock market. Stellantis' decision to shutter one of its most successful brands has raised concerns among investors, who are questioning the company's financial health and long-term viability. As a result, Stellantis' stock has seen increased volatility, with analysts voicing concerns over the company's strategy and future in a highly competitive market. The economic impact isn't limited to Stellantis alone. Suppliers who depended on contracts with Ram for parts and materials are now facing uncertain futures, with some potentially losing millions in revenue. For small to mid-sized suppliers, this loss could be devastating as they may lack the flexibility to shift quickly to other clients. The trucking industry's economic ecosystem, from tire manufacturers to parts suppliers, is feeling the effects, raising questions about whether Stellantis' decision could trigger a domino effect, impacting other businesses connected to Ram's supply chain. Moreover, the market reactions to Ram's closure highlight the fragility of the auto industry, where a single brand's fate can have far-reaching consequences. Investors are now closely watching Stellantis' next moves, concerned about the stability of its other brands and the company's ability to adapt to industry trends. For Stellantis, the financial challenges have not been resolved with Ram's closure. In many ways, the pressure has only intensified. The market is waiting to see if Stellantis can survive these turbulent times, or if further cuts are on the horizon. As we move into the last part, we'll look toward the future, examining what this means for Stellantis as a whole, the fate of its other brands, and the long-term implications of Ram's closure on the auto industry. What's next for Stellantis? As the shock of Ram's closure settles, all eyes are now on Stellantis to see what comes next. The company has taken a drastic step in ending one of its most successful brands, but this decision may only be the beginning. Stellantis is facing a critical juncture, with rising debt, increasing competition, and a slow transition into the electric vehicle market. The company is under pressure to stabilize quickly. So what options does Stellantis have moving forward? One possibility is a restructuring of its portfolio, which could involve prioritizing brands that have the best potential to succeed in the EV market. Jeep, for example, has already garnered interest with its plans for electric SUVs, while Dodge is leaning into its performance heritage with electrified muscle cars. Stellantis may double down on these brands, investing heavily in innovation to regain market share and focus on building a future-ready lineup. Another potential move could involve seeking out partnerships or strategic alliances. Stellantis has tried joint ventures in the past with mixed results, but collaborating with a company that specializes in EV technology could provide the boost Stellantis desperately needs. By combining resources and expertise, Stellantis might be able to make up lost ground and bring competitive electric models to market faster. But no matter which path it chooses, Stellantis has a steep hill to climb. Investors and consumers alike are watching closely, and with trust already on shaky ground, Stellantis will need to be transparent and decisive in its strategy. Failure to adapt now could place other brands at risk of closure, potentially unraveling Stellantis' position in the automotive industry. Could other brands be at risk? Ram's closure has left many wondering whether other Stellantis brands could face a similar fate. Chrysler, Dodge, Fiat, each of these brands has its own legacy, but each also faces challenges similar to those that plagued Ram. With Stellantis still struggling to establish itself in the EV market, brands that don't align with the company's vision for the future could be vulnerable. Chrysler in particular has been a topic of speculation. Once a dominant force in the American automotive market, Chrysler now has a limited lineup and has struggled to stay relevant amid shifts toward SUVs and electric vehicles. Without significant investment in new models or an electrification strategy, Chrysler could be next on the chopping block if Stellantis needs to further consolidate its portfolio. Fiat, another Stellantis brand with deep roots, faces challenges in adapting its compact and urban-focused lineup to meet evolving demands, especially in markets like North America. While Fiat is more popular in Europe, its sales in the US have declined sharply, making it a potential target for downsizing or even discontinuation. For Stellantis, deciding the fate of its brands is a delicate balance. Every brand has its own loyal following and its own unique history, but with the financial pressure mounting, Stellantis may have no choice but to prioritize brands that align best with its vision for the future, potentially putting even iconic names on the line. Long-term implications for the auto industry. The closure of Ram is a signal that the auto industry is undergoing profound changes. As automakers face increasing pressure to adopt electric technology, meet regulatory standards, and adapt to consumer demands, companies are being forced to make difficult choices. Ram's closure shows that even popular brands are not immune to these challenges, highlighting the tough reality for legacy automakers in today's competitive landscape. Ram's shutdown could encourage other manufacturers to evaluate their own portfolios more critically. Companies may start phasing out brands or models that are struggling to keep pace with industry shifts, focusing resources on developing electric, autonomous, and tech-integrated vehicles. This shift isn't just about keeping up with trends, it's about survival in a market where innovation is no longer optional. In the long run, Ram's closure might accelerate the industry's move toward consolidation, where only the strongest brands remain. As automakers invest more heavily in EV infrastructure and emerging technologies, they may streamline their lineups to focus on models with the highest potential. This could mean fewer brands overall, but more specialized vehicles that are better aligned with consumer needs and environmental goals. Ram's closure serves as a reminder to automakers worldwide that in today's automotive market, agility and adaptation are key. Those unable to evolve may find themselves in the same position as Stellantis, forced to make hard decisions that reshape their companies and the industry as a whole. Lessons learned and the path forward. As we reflect on the fallout from Ram's closure, one thing is clear: the auto industry is facing a pivotal moment. Ram's end underscores a harsh truth that even the most iconic brands can't afford to stand still. For Stellantis and other legacy automakers, there are valuable lessons to be drawn from this decision, lessons that may shape the future of the industry. First, adaptation is crucial. The rise of electric vehicles, the demands for tech integration, and the shift towards sustainability mean that every brand must be prepared to evolve. Stellantis' slow response to these trends cost Ram its place in the market. For other companies, staying attuned to market changes and acting swiftly to meet them will be essential to survival. Second, consumer trust is more fragile than ever. Ram's loyal following was built over decades, but Stellantis' decision to end the brand shows just how easily that trust can be broken. Moving forward, automakers must prioritize transparency and communicate their long-term plans clearly to maintain loyalty and support from customers. Lastly, Ram's closure highlights the need for bold but calculated innovation. The transition to electric and autonomous vehicles is not a simple one, but companies willing to take risks, invest in new technologies, and push the boundaries of what's possible are more likely to succeed. Stellantis has the chance to learn from Ram's end, using it as a catalyst to rethink its strategy and rebuild its lineup with an eye toward the future. Ram's closure is more than just the end of a brand, it's a wake-up call for the auto industry. As we head into an era of unprecedented change, the path forward demands resilience, adaptability, and a clear vision for the future. For Stellantis and its competitors, the stakes have never been higher, and the lessons from Ram's demise will be key to navigating the challenges ahead.